Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with a very special Total War Warhammer 2 multicast. Today we're going to be looking at the Slaan. Every single flavor of Slaan in a nice Slaan Sunday, so we better get straight to the action here for this first one. We've got the High Slaan. We're going to be taking on the Skaven. Normally the High Slaan is my anti-air option for his Tempest, but in this particular matchup, of course, Skaven don't have any flying units. So instead, we're going for a bit of a counter-missile strategy here. We're going to be using this Shield of Safri as much as we can. The lore attribute for Lore of High Magic, 12% damage resistance map-wide. Also got Apotheosis and Hand of Glory, plus Arcane and Forging just to mess with Skrolk. For the rest of the build here, in order to actually shoot back, we've got two Bolt Thrower Stegodons here. They've got Shield of Chakwa from the Legion of Chocolates there. Also got some Chameleon Skinks over to the side. Lots of Skink Infantry cohort and some Red Crests, including the cohort of Sotek. We've also got two Skink Chiefs on foot with nothing on them. These guys are basically 350 points for like a single entity Chameleon Skink. Actually quite strong in my opinion. I'm up against F-Pod here. Up-and-coming player. Actually did very, very well in Turin's ECL Open Qualifier yesterday. Been playing with him a bit in the Noob Hammer Discord, and he's got Skaven here. Very solid build with Lord Skrolk. It's got a Hell Pit here, a couple of Rat Ogres. It looks like Poison Wind Mortars, Poison Wind Globes, some Clan Rats, an Assassin. Pretty standard stuff, so you can see the we're getting a bit of a melee engagement underway. I'm trying to get the Red Crest in here to support. Nice pick with these Plague Monks here getting summoned, although they are within range to get pelted by those Javs, which is great for me. Meanwhile, Slaan's coming up on the side here. We are going to start to distract some shots. Of course, a lot of the shots are going to be going into the Stegodon there from those Jezzails. And likewise, the Poison Wind Mortars, they could potentially shoot like into this little blob here to get some damage in. But right now, Chameleon Skinks over on the side. Looks like we've taken some pretty serious damage from said globes. And just kind of skirmishing, keeping some units occupied over here. We did throw down an Arcane Unforging on Skrolk, so that'll do some good damage to him and interrupt his Liber Bubonicus ability from being able to do too much. But you can see I'm in a bit of a pickle here with the Slaan. I'm trying to get over to these this defensive position here, and the Hell Pit Abomination's coming over as well, so definitely a very dangerous situation. Here comes the Rivalhide Talisman Assassin as well, coming over here to get some stabs at the Slaan. But we've got the two Stegs in a position to support. Here come the Skink cohort. They used up their Javs, so now they're going to sacrifice themselves bravely to get in here. We also drop a Banishment in the back line, helps to clean up some of these troops. You can also see that the Red Crests have broken through in a couple places, and we're going to be pushing up into the back line. Red Crests are an ideal unit for chasing down and killing those pesky weapon teams. The Slaan, you can see, has taken damage, but again, that quick Apotheosis gives a little bit of trickle healing, and that nice little 11% damage resistance just for a small amount of time definitely makes that slight bit of difference. Over here, the Chameleon Skinks still kind of contesting in this region. Using up a lot of the ammo for the Poison Wind Mortars and the Globes as well, and just kind of keeping them occupied. And the weapon teams have managed to get caught up here, at least the Jezzails, by one of the units of Red Crest here. Rat Ogre's in a protection position, going to come in and support, try and bail them out. So I don't know that I'll be able to take down the hole in the unit necessarily, but we're at least shutting them down for the time being. Meanwhile, I'm getting a really nice crossfire situation here. I've managed to disengage with the Slaan. The Assassin got caught up fighting a Stegodon, which is just fine with me. And the two Skink Chiefs here have been very key, just consistently poking at the Hell Pit, using the Javelins from the Javelin Skinks as well. We've been able to do a lot of damage here, and not to mention the Legion of Chakwa, of course, fighting tooth and nail in the actual melee combat here. If we zoom in close, you can see those Legion of Chakwa boys holding up. Of course, the lack of armor on the Hell Pit won't be a problem at all for the quote-unquote non-AP of the Legion of Chakwa there, and you can see the Hell Pit does actually go down. Unfortunately, it doesn't get its healing proc, so, well, yeah, good for me. That does summon up a unit of Clan Rats here, of course. Skaven Slated Spears, that's right, but they won't last long under the assault of those two Stegodons, so although the rest of my forces are getting very, very thin, you can see we've got a handful of Skink cohorts scattered around. Again, still trying to just pressure these weapons teams, not allow them to get free shots, wherever they please. We've got some more Rat units coming back here. They were chasing some Chameleon Skinks, but I do have one more that's managed to come back and stay hidden there. So definitely pretty close. Balance power not wildly one side or the other, if slightly in the Skaven's favor at this point. But suddenly Skrolk finds himself isolated, as most of his forces here have either died or fled. And yeah, you can see the Slaan just sort of sitting there peacefully in the background. Going to throw himself another Apotheosis. And the Council Guard are now here, to try and save Lord Skrull. Looks like we're going to get a nice Rod of Corruption there. Try and finish off those Cohort of Sotek. They should be able to get some good damage in. They have done quite a bit already against the Council Guard there. So another little push coming from the side here. And again, these two Skink Chiefs, I really can't talk about how key these guys have been. Just sitting here, consistently poking away at various targets. You can see as the assassin fights the one, the other can kind of poke in. And another beautiful banishment right on top of those Storm Vermin. The Council Guard there to try and help finish them off. A little bit of friendly fire from the globes as well in this blob, and despite the fact they're unbreakable, they're pretty much done in terms of their numbers now, right? So that has equalized the balance of power somewhat. You can see the assassin has been picked away, kited away, and picked apart by those two Skink Chiefs. So still very, very close. Shield of the Older Ones comes up to try and provide some damage resistance here. This Stegodon, this is the one currently tanking, and you can see, although he might be trying to shoot the Slaan, I've actually got the Stegodon kind of parked in front here, forming a little bit of a wall, because, of course, keeping the Slaan alive is the most critical thing in this late game. We're not really fighting ideal targets at this point, stuff like Rat Ogres and so on. But hey, we just got to tank out a little bit more ammunition, and I don't think the Skaven have a whole lot left more in the tank here. If we go ahead and have a look, yeah, those Jezzails, only a couple more volleys left. The Poison Wind Globes are the thing I'm most worried about at this point, but as the Skaven units start to run out of ammo, as they start to get routed away here, you can see Legion of Chakwa still holding out in the back with those two Skink Chiefs just consistently poking the Rat Ogres. It's going to be too much for the Skaven to handle in this late game, so a very, very close game. Well played to FPod. I definitely see how he went far in Turin's ECL over the weekend. So excellent work all across the board, and as we advance here, yeah, it's gonna be tight. The one Stegodon actually probably will get taken down there, up to 140 armor from the aura of pretzels from the Slaan, but yeah, he's pretty much done for. Only 100 HP left on that poor boy. It won't be too much longer until the Skaven themselves get to army losses, and the one remaining bolt thrower was throwing some bolts at Skrulk himself. He's going to throw a summon to try and keep balance of power from getting too far out of favor, but yeah. Rat Ogre's getting terrified, the Slaan and the Legion of Chakwa, just the inexorable advance across this field here. All that's left for the Lizardmen. There's no stopping them. I say all that's left. We've still got the trusty Skink Chiefs over on the side there, fanning out with a handful of cohort to clean up what's left of this nasty force here. Poison Wind Globes, of course, with their short range, are definitely at danger of getting interrupted and absolutely exploded. So fun stuff. Since we've got a bit more to get to, I will fast forward through the very end game here. Since, yeah, plenty of Slaan replays to get to today, but again, very well played to FPod, and I thoroughly enjoyed that match. Definitely, as I said, the High Slaan is typically your anti-air option, right? So against somebody like High Elves, Vampire Counts, Dark Elves, you know, if you expect to see a high-value, high-powered character on a flying mount, Malekith, and any Vampire, you know, Blood Dragons, something like that, very, very good against them. Likewise, though, still in matchups where you wouldn't necessarily need the specific anti-air purpose, I do like the High Slaan quite a bit for that consistent healing trickle, and the Shield of Safri, pretty underrated as well. Hand of Glory I was also tossing out here and there. Didn't really showcase it too much. It was mostly just the Apotheosis, but Hand of Glory for the reload skill and that little melee attack buff is quite nice on a single specific unit, given that Lizardmen, especially in their infantry, generally tend to lack high melee attack, especially for Saurus. Just having that single target melee attack buff actually can be quite nice in a number of circumstances. So, yeah, as for the rest, Red Crest cleaned up quite a few kills, 148 for the Legion of Chakwa there, 54 for the Stegodon, 44 for the other Stegodon XP chevrons to go around. FPod there, I mean, obviously the Council Guard doing quite well. The Jezzails racking up an XP chevron despite the fact they didn't finish off any of the targets here. And, you know, we were kind of in chat sort of discussing the match after it happened, and he definitely said that not focusing the single, you know, target, rather than just focusing the Slaan, he was kind of spreading his damage around between the Stegodon and the Slaan. I mean, some of that was myself trying to intentionally keep the Slaan either out of range, hidden, or behind the Stegodon. But, yeah, definitely something to be aware of there. But anyway, that's enough for the High Slaan. Let's go ahead and get to our next ice cream flavor. Next up on the list, we've got the Unloved Heavens Slaan. So, the reason I say unloved is because, of course, you can take a Skink Chief, or sorry, a Skink Priest, with Lore of Heavens as well. The main difference being, of course, that this big boy's got Greater Arcane Conduit for maximum damage. So we've got Wind Blast, Comet of Cassandora, and Chain Lightning for, like I said, max damage output. We've also got a Shredder of Lustria here, 2 Skink Chiefs, we've got Skink Cohort and Red Crest as well. Relatively narrow build as you might expect with the big boy, and also got some Pawhawk Sentinels and Pterodon Riders. We're up against Dark Elves here. I believe it's Chiro. You can let me know if I'm pronouncing that right, but we're going to come in with the Drop Rocks on those Dark Riders, do some good damage, and a little bit late on the Drop Rocks of Tepok there from the Pawhawk Sentinels, which is rough, but still got some good damage in initially, and we're going to kite out Malekith a bit here. Also got some Slaanesha's Harvesters, 2 Bolt Throwers, 5 Spears, some Cold One Knights, 3 units of Cold One Knights, and yeah, I've also got the Colossadon Hunters specifically to help hunt Malekith. So honestly, I was thinking, should I take Wind Blast or should I take, you know, I probably want Harmonic Convergence here. I definitely am regretting already not having Harmonic Convergence. That on the Colossadon Hunters while they're fighting Malekith. If he comes down and tries to fight the Shredder, I can put it on them while it's fighting Malekith. Just in general, that Harmonic Convergence is a very, very strong spell, but obviously myself going with much more of a damage output Slaan here, so we'll see how much damage we can actually do. Shredder here. My opponent gets poisoned and therefore gets slowed slightly here from the missile attack, and the Shredder is able to get in and get some free damage, more or less. Meanwhile, up on the side here, we're getting some skirmishing with the Pterodons. Colossadon Hunters come in, start to do some work on Malekith, so we're going to get a little bit of a pitched engagement there, but we do have some supporting fire elements from the Dark Elves, so maybe not the best. Looks like actually, because my Skink Cohort are engaged in the front line here, Malekith is going to be able to actually drop down. You can see he's having a little bit of a hard time dropping down, but then actually does drop in, and with the Soul Stealer healing himself up, he should be okay, but the first Wind Blast goes off there, gets some Dread Spears. I believe I had dropped some spell over here already, not sure. Uranin's Thunderbolt would have honestly been very, very good against the Cold One Knights, but I didn't actually bring that one. Instead, I brought this right here, Chain Lightning. It's going to absolutely rip through all of these Dread Spears here, and I mean, granted, a lot of my DPS spells are going to be only good versus Dread Spears, and of course, because I've got a Pocket Banishment, why not throw that right down on top? And this is one of the other things about the Slaans, not only the Heavens Slaan, but several of the varieties of Slaan, obviously the Fire being one of my favorites, can take double Vortex in a situation like this and just destroy all of your opponent's infantry. So fun stuff there. Shredder of Lustria definitely taking all of the damages though. Word of Pain, and my opponent's been focusing all of his missile resources pretty much on them as much as he can. Likewise, it's been fighting 3,000 points, you know, plus worth of cavalry here, more or less by itself, and holding its own. So, yeah, despite everything, it has taken some damage, but still pretty close at the end of the day. We've got some Pterodon Riders, still with some ammo, so we're going to try and keep them focused on Malekith. Colossadon Hunters have taken quite a bit of damage, as they, I believe, got dragged down into that big mess earlier, but we'll see. My skink bros, I, of course, never leave without my skink bros on foot here. They can help provide that extra cold-blooded for the extra leadership. And very nice Soul Stealer here. Probably going to finish off the Colossadon Hunters, and we'll do a bunch of damage to that Skink Chief as well. Malekith keeping himself just healed enough to keep that balance power from getting too far out of favor. But the Skink Rush here, the Skink Horde, just absolutely cleaning up the Dark Elves in terms of infantry, and even the cavalry as the Dark Riders get caught up here. Oh man, I just love Red Crest with their little boppers. They're so, so cool. And the Shredder's been routed, unfortunately, at this point. Even the Cold Blood can't stop it. Looks like we had a breath attack there. Not sure exactly who that was on. But, yeah, Shredder actually goes down there from the Cold One pressure. That being said, bounce power is in my favor, as, again, the Skinks are just absolutely destroying everything that is on the ground here. Besides these cavalry, of course, we still have quite a bit of cavalry from my opponent. A few shots I do have, especially from the Skink Chiefs, will continue to provide that consistent poison and missile damage here. This poor Skink bro might get a little bit caught up, which is not the best. But, I mean, they do get knocked around a little bit, so it's also not the worst thing in the world. The Slaan, though, taking damage is definitely what I don't want. So we're going to pop shield to the old ones, come in here, just charge in with everything on Malekith, and the Red Crests are really going to be the key in this late game. They're still pretty much all completely healthy, and the Aura of Pretzels there, putting them up to 43 melee defense, a little bit of extra armor as well, so they'll hold up okay in this engagement. And yeah, this is pretty much it. Just a nice blob fight here at the end. It looks like we're going to drop a Comet of Cassandora from the big boy Slaan. Will anyone actually be in the area of effect when it lands, though, is the question. It looks like there might be a couple of Dark Elf models in there that do actually get hit by that and felled. So that was okay. Not the best, but it was okay. And then Malekith at this point isn't going to be able to get back up in the air if I play my cards right, so we'll go ahead and fast forward as I pretty much got this thing on wrap. And yeah, credit to those red crests, and again, the Skink Chiefs. I think, really, this is a video about Slaan. But if you take anything away from this, it's that you should always fill your hero slots with Lizardmen, because if you have 350 points and you don't have a hero slot filled with one of these Skink Chiefs on foot, you're kind of doing it wrong, in my opinion. But anyway, 154 kills for the damage Slaan. Definitely, in hindsight, with the Shredder especially, I would absolutely have Harmonic Convergence, and I might actually just go for more of a support style, with only Wind Blast, Harmonic Convergence, and Curse the Midnight Wind, because it also lowers your enemy's melee attack. It can be used as sort of a defensive buff on the Shredder, right? Because your opponents will be less likely to hit it in melee. But credit to Ciro there, or Chiro, under the name Panzer. Very fun stuff. Stayed tight with his build and actually almost managed to bring it home there. If I hadn't blown up his infantry line quite so quickly, he could have maybe got Malekith onto the Slaan a little bit earlier and finished me off in that way. But still, very fun stuff. We've got plenty more replays to get to, so without further ado, let's spice it up. Out here in the desert, it's hot, and the Slaan is too, coming in with the Fire Slaan for the next game. Of course, who could it be except against the Tomb Kings? And you can see already the casket of bones, souls, and other screaming things raining down on my poor solar engine. So, of course, Lore of Fire, we've gone with the fire-focused build, double solar engine. We've got a Salamander hunting pack, the Umbral Tide, Regiment of Renown, a bunch of Skink cohort, as to be expected, double Skink Bro on foot, as you know. Got 4 Chameleons and a single red crest here, the cohort of Sotek, all fired up and ready to go. We've also got another Regiment of Renown here, the cohort of Waddle, the Sacred Crocsgores. This is for armor sundering, primarily, since the fire units don't deal that great of armor piercing damage, you know, the solar engines and the salamanders. We wanted that armor sundering. Also, they're an excellent unit to dump Cascading Fire Cloak into. Of course, I've got that. Fireball plus Burning Head. As for the Tomb Kings, I'm up against Styx once again. Workshopping some various casket builds here. He's got double casket of souls, including Kotep, Tomb Scorpion with 3 units of Sepulchral Stalkers, so pretty heavy on the Stalkers. One of them, of course, the Eyes of the Desert. He's also got some spears and a nice defensive formation here, and a single melee Ushabti with a Lich Priest Lore of Light as well. So you can see the 2 solar engines immediately going to be poking away at Kotep. He's not actually weak to fire damage, so, and are actually hitting the hill a little bit as well. Not the best, but it's okay. My build's actually going to be decent against his because I don't have that many great targets for the caskets to shoot at, but oh man, you see little Skink Bro there just about gets nuked by the Sepulchral Stalkers. He doesn't take nearly as much damage as some other larger foot characters would because he has such a small hitbox, but you can see my plan here more or less is just to kind of sit back and try and have a little bit of a pew-pew fight while we work some of these units up and around the flanks here. I'm thinking if I can get this cohort of Waddle in there, start to sunder the armor and really just tear apart some of these units with fire damage, but his Scorpion's going to come over here. We've got the Eyes of the Desert here providing some Overwatch fire. We're going to get some really good damage on the cohort of Waddle and a very nice dunk from the casket there as well. But the fire damage is incoming. Obviously, we've got Pistolodons here with the solar engine. And, oop, there come the Salamanders with their first volley. That Kindle Flame not currently active, but still getting some good damage on that Tomb Scorpion there. And here comes a Fireball. Now we've got the Kindle Flame, so that little bit of extra damage there. Not much, but it's something. And Styx, sort of feeling the pressure at this point, going to start to push some of his units out and respond to kind of the counterfire here. But of course, I do have a pretty strong missile presence here to just continue poking away. And yeah, you can see the one isolated Scorpion is pretty much done for already. A nice Burning Head as well. Does manage to catch one full unit just about. The other unit, oh man, very unlucky. Styx tries to dodge and actually runs through it. Oh, but it actually barely just curved through, like past the unit rather, and didn't make good contact. So initially looked unlucky, then it looked very lucky. That being said, my cohort obviously have just been shredded by those caskets, but also on the flip side, my fast units, my fire units are kind of fast, and I'm able to kind of pull my opponent apart a little bit here. Styx is kind of getting pulled in different directions. A Court of Huatl get netted here, but that's just fine. They are beating the brakes off of these Ushabti, especially with the supporting fire of these various elements here. Solar Engines now firing into the Sepulchral Stalkers here. You can see the damage they just did on the High-Slaan. He's going to throw Cascading Fire Cloak on himself, mostly just for the Kindle Flame. But yeah, those Sepulchral Stalkers getting wrecked by that Kindle Flame there. And the Caskets, obviously, the Umbral Tide do have stock, so if he does issue an order on them, I can always pull them back to try and break the attack order and then come back forward. But here, man, the Salamander is just doing legit damage at this point, and with the Solar Engine in supporting fire against kind of a more artillery-focused build, like with what the Tomb Kings were trying to do here, you know, honestly, like, mass Saurus builds aren't that uncommon against the Tomb Kings, so I definitely see the merit of what Styx was going for here, but because of my superior missile presence, I'm just kind of able to pick them apart a little bit here. You can see there are some spear units kind of hanging around a little bit, but we're able to push the Court of Huatl up and around, sort of clean up a lot of these units that we're supporting up on this periphery, and that's going to leave Kotep in a bad place as the giant Power Fist Kroxigors come in and start to just smash his pile of bones to bits. Just absolute dust. Meanwhile, Fireball getting thrown all the way across the field at that Spider. We're just about out of ammo on the Solar Engines, which is quite impressive, honestly. XP Chevron here, double XP Chevron here. Of course, haven't been shooting at high value, or sorry, high model count targets, just high value single entity targets for the most part, plus like monstrous infantry and so on. But, yeah, using up that missile attack there on the Sepulchral Stalkers, very smart before they engage. They're going to do a lot of damage to that Solar Engine. But meanwhile, Kotep's just getting pounded, just ground pounded by these Croxies. I'm going to pull them away here. Another Cascading Fire Cloak, again, up to 58 melee defense with that. Very good spell for this unit. They still got 10 unit models online, so we can pull them up and around here. And again, it does trigger that Kindle Flame, which means more Salamander shots for more effective, more Solar Engine shots, and down goes the second Scorpion. For those of you guys who have watched my channel for a long time, you know I absolutely detest Scorpions, so this is quite a happy day for me. Banishment goes down here as well, mostly just showering Kotep in light, not really doing much, but hey, it's okay. Makes us feel cool. Probably got a little bit of damage on some of these skeletons and so on. But the Tomb Kings, not looking too hot. Bounce power is still pretty close at this point. But you can see there that this unit of Sepulchral Stalkers was able to rout off that Bastiladon. Granted, I had already used up just about all of my ammo. Only one shot left there. But can this unit of Sepulchral Stalkers kind of carry the rest of the game here? I don't have much ammo left, but a few decisive volleys from the Umbral Tide here coming in, getting a little bit of extra work done, and you see it there. The Skink Sniper, bro, taking pot shots. I love those guys. Oh, man. Taking pot shots and actually picks off one on the side there of those Sepulchral Stalkers. As that unit starts to crumble, that's kind of the unit that's holding the bounce power together at this point. We finished off the second casket, pulling back around to Kotep, just kind of prolonging his agony here as the Power Fists finish their work against old Grand Hierophant Kotep. So, well played to Styx, very fun game, and the Fire-Slaan, I don't know that he's necessarily very competitive, but he does have a lot of options for synergy, obviously, for the Lizardmen roster, especially for missile-oriented builds. And obviously, I don't know that any of the Lizardmen fire units actually do fire damage in melee. I mean, I guess the Salamanders probably do, but really they're more of a missile unit, right? And all of your fire units, for the most part, you know, your Fire Leech Bolas, your Solar Engines, everything like that is all missile-focused, right? So definitely going with a more missile-oriented build with the Fire-Slaan, getting some good synergy there can be pretty decent, and in a situation like this, we were able to actually outshoot the Tomb Kings, who otherwise would have been in a pretty decent spot here against, like, Mass Saurus or something. A little bit of a lack of anti-large in this build from Styx, but we kind of had discussed this, I believe it was a couple weeks ago when we actually played this game. But regardless, very, very fun stuff. I've got a few more Slaan to get through, so let's not spend too much time on old Spicy Boy, but just keep him in mind. This Slaan hides his face in the tree, for he knows that when he reveals his face, the whole world will be blinded by his light. Yes, indeed, we're here with the Light Slaan this time. And the Light Slaan is quickly becoming one of my favorites due to the new and improved Exorcism lore attribute. I believe this was changed with Hunter and the Beast. Now gives immune to psychology map-wide and a bit of leadership. Excellent for skink builds. You got Foz Protection, Net of Amontok, and Barona's Time Warp with the other goodies, of course, as well, for a support-oriented Slaan, and we've gone for a massively wide skink build here with lots of infantry. Got some cohorts here. We've got Red Crest, a cohort of Sotek, a couple of Javs as well. Looks like 3 Javs with 4 regular cohort, and yeah, 2 Razordon hunting packs for that missile damage up against Styx Tomb Kings here. And he's got some Tomb Guard with halberds. Let's see here, 3 Sepulchral Stalkers, so a similar build to what we saw in the Fire replay. And Skeleton Spears here, yeah, double casket. He does have a Kemrian War Sphinx this time. And a light mage as well. Looks like he's casting something there. A little bit of a net to catch those chameleon skinks and get on them in melee. I'm not sure about this decision. The skeleton spearmen, I don't know if they'll necessarily even win that melee fight, but obviously with the sepulchral stalkers that will make a huge difference. Obviously my Red Crest been getting absolutely pounded on by those caskets. It's definitely been pretty rough. I'm going to pull up into range and use my 2 skink bros on foot. Of course, you guys know already watching this battle multicast, you can't leave home without these guys if you have the slots for them. Non-Cetro War Sphinx pushes through. Kitty just absolutely terrorizing some of my little skink peltasts there, which is not the best, but the Razordons are going to get set up into a position to just start shredding him, absolutely shredding him, and you got to be careful when overextending into a backline position like this, because you can get absolutely torn to bits by a nice crossfire situation. You can see here, he does go after the Light Slaan. That's fine with me. Light Slaan's a little bit of a bait in this situation because, again, I can use these Pterodon's missile attacks to great effect. That being said, this frontline engagement's going okay. You know, I took enough damage on the approach with my infantry that, and I have been using my support spells due to Kotep continuously shutting down my magic with his little cooldown timer there. But Popopok's cohort had been Vanguard deployed in this corner here, sprung out to help kind of bail out some of these chameleon skinks as they provide overwatch fire, and they also got some good damage in on that unit of stalkers there. But again, this between the aura of pretzels, and I believe I maybe threw a Files Protection in there somewhere as well, the Slaan was able to not take too much damage from the War Sphinx, who himself has Files Protection. But I am going to be able to net him at this point after creating a little bit of separation and then use my missile units to finish him off. Meanwhile, here you can see again that skink bro just consistently popping his shots over here, and because of the numbers of skinks, I'm able to kind of get up and get the full envelopment type situation here. And although the Sepulchral Stalkers are a pretty heavy unit, would normally just beat the brakes off of the regular cohorts, yeah, of course, with the armor piercing of the Red Crest, we'll be able to push through a bit. A nice banishment there. And the Shielded Old Ones trying to keep the Slaan alive as Styx is doing his best to try and finish him off. That Lich Priest as well, following up, trying to get some hits in here, but we were able to finish off the thing there. Looks like we've got a Barona's Time Warp. Yep, Barona's Time Warp active on some of these units. They're going to be hitting extra hard against some of those skeletons. Just trying to clean up, you know, chaff versus chaff. I definitely want to win that engagement as much as I can. And we're doing decently well at that. Red Crest also in the back line, bogging down Kotep, providing a little bit of armor-piercing damage here and there, poison and everything. Poison, I believe, does actually debuff his missile damage as well. Yes, it does. So, decent stuff. And that Barona's Time Warp does last a really long time, which is one of the main benefits of it. We've also got a Frost Protection, the Refuse to Die active on the cohort of Sotek as well, which means that they won't actually take any HP damage that finishes off their unit models. You can kind of use that to hold them in a situation like this a little bit longer than they normally would. Meanwhile, Sepulchral Stalkers are the next ones to get caught in the crossfire here as Chameleon Skinks are being pressured, but they're opening up shots. Likewise, the Sepulchral Stalkers are actually trading very well into the Razordons in terms of their missile attacks, but the Razordons just having extra numbers supporting here. Also, plus the nets, obviously, we're going to be able to hopefully get free. But I do have to be careful. You watch those Sepulchral Stalkers, they're going to try and get their missile attacks on the Slaan to finish him off as much as possible. Likewise, Kotep also getting very low, so both the mages on both sides, or sorry, yeah, I guess I only have the one mage, but the mages all around just not feeling super comfortable. This pocket still holding up for the Tomb Kings, but starting to crumble as the balance power slowly but surely grinds in my favor. The Sushapti summon just about perfectly placed here. I am actually maybe going to be able to escape. I do have an avenue right here. Yep, looks like I am going to be able to motor scooter on out of there, which is a little bit unfortunate for Styx there. Almost got the full surround, but hey, that's just how it goes sometimes. Kotep's crumbled though. Tomb Guard with Halberd still holding here. They're just about the only unit left with any meaning at this point. The Sepulchral Stalker is going to get finished off by the Razordons. And I believe that will pretty much be time. Definitely a very fun battle, and well played to Styx. He does manage to finish off the Light Slaan there with a nice volley from the Sepulchral Stalkers, but it's going to be too much in this late game as, well, maybe all of a sudden all my units are going to want to start to rout. But never fear, we've got the two reliable Skink Chiefs still here. They're going to continue to fight and poke and support, and they'll hold up the leadership of the rest of these Skinks as they come in. And how about these cohort of Sotek running in one more time with just a handful of models left? They do pop that refuse to die again, and you can see 12 models, they take hits, but they don't actually lose any models while that effect is active, so they can continue to just get a few little picks and pokes as they see fit there. And yeah, as the summons start to wear off, we start to kind of stabilize leadership a little bit here. Six is going to go ahead and admit defeat, so another excellent battle, very, very close. Yeah, the Light Slaan, excellent utility, and I think, especially in wide skink builds like this, I do think there's something to be said for that Lore of Light attribute as well. Of course, I know many other people are fans of that Baroness Time Warp on Lizardmen. For rush builds, for Lizardmen builds in general, having that massive, huge area of effect and also very long duration melee attack buff is awesome. The speed beat buff is also a nice little component, but really the melee attack buff is what you're looking for there. So well played to Styx. Again, excellent kills on the caskets as we saw before. Yeah, pretty similar as to what we saw last time. So not really too much to say there, but fun stuff. I do have one more replay to get to. You don't think I could do a Slaan video without talking about the big boy, do you? Well, let's get to it. To finish things off, we've got the Slaan God himself. Okay, not really, but the Great Slaan, Lord Mazdamundi, up on Slock, the Monster Slaan, of course, with his mixed spell lore and monster ability. We're up against the High Elves, going to be led by Reptile King, and we've got some Kroxigors here. We've got a Solar Engine, Cohort of Sotek, double Skink Bro on foot, as is typical, and some Chameleon Skinks as well, skirmishing with the Handmaiden of the Everqueen, doing some good damage. We've also got some Reavers over on this side. 5 Spears, 2 Sisters, a Noble on horseback, Techless, some more Reavers, and it looks like a Frostheart Phoenix with more Reavers over on the ground there. I'm going to run forward with Mazdamundi. Not really too worried about the Sister Fire at this point, since I have, yeah, some healing and some other effects there. I can throw Shield of the Old Ones and just generally have a pretty decent time there. It looks like a nice enfeebling foe on that Cohort of Sotek, significantly debuffing their stats. Very nicely done on that high-value unit. You can see we're throwing all the area of effect and damage stuff in the back line here. Likewise, the Solar Engine. Also pressuring those Sisters of Avalorn as much as I can. So a really nice Fiery Convocation, though, from Techless. Just wipes more or less 3 units. Not quite. This Red Crest actually got away pretty well there, but did a ton of damage to those Skinks. Yeah, up to 98 kills there for Techless, so good stuff. We're going to go ahead and net something there. It looks like that was the Noble for the anti-large AP, and I'm trying to push my Croc scores up to kind of punch through to the second line here. I've also been a little bit slow with the secondary Red Crest, but we are now starting to follow up and use these superior numbers to our advantage. Just pick away this Spear here with 2 Cohort of Sotek, or sorry, 2 Skink Cohort, and the Chameleon Skinks, and again, just pressure with numbers all across the field, but Mazdamundi's in a bit of trouble. He is a tank, absolutely, has a ton of HP, you know, missile resistance and all that, but in this type of a situation, he is not happy about his life decisions. The Phoenix, also a big problem, of course, but we're going to continue to dump that Apotheosis as much as we can. You can see the Sisters in the back line there, took a nice shot from the Solar Engine. The Cohort of Sotek going to swing up and around here and start to try and protect their Liege Lord Mazdamundi. And yeah, just getting a nice little kind of side and rear charge there, interrupting those Spearmen. Those Spearmen absolutely won't stand a chance. And we've just kind of got Mazdamundi parked over here by the Solar Engine, just kind of chilling for the time being, trying to pressure. You can see Kroxigors and Skink Cohort chasing. Using the Skink Cohort to chase routing Spearmen is actually going to be exceptionally cost-effective for me, since I can keep them from coming back and just kind of allocate, you know, make sure I stay ahead in terms of the numbers here. That being said, nice net just barely before that thing lands. The Frostheart Phoenix were able to interrupt its charge there. I did pop Shield of the Old Ones a little bit prematurely just in case it did actually land, but it's now going to get point blank blasted by the Solar Engine there. A little bit of a swing and a miss, which is not the best, but Mazdamundi stepping out of his shield is going to be a little bit at risk here, but the charge bonus I was relying on, that 70 charge bonus up on Slock, just coming in and wrecking face on that Noble. And although I'm very low on HP, 1400 HP, I mean, if you look at the Noble's total HP, he's only got about 2000, so it's not that much of a difference. And a huge hit comes in there, just wrecks the Noble's head, and he instantly gets terrified. Cohort of Sotek, or sorry, the Red Crest going to help support there. And yeah, Mazdamundi can then turn around. He's down to 800 HP, but that Frostart Phoenix, oops. I think I might have, no, I didn't actually blind Mazdamundi. That's good. I need to definitely not blind Mazdamundi, but in the periphery, more of the same. Just continue to clean up routing units. Techless running away from Kroxigors, but likewise, the Reavers have been able to kind of get in and clean up some units of my own. And the Sisters also staying somewhat free here. Let's see where this banishment goes as Mazdamundi continues to try and hold out there. Is it actually? Oh, come on. Oh, it's just like walking next to them. Oh, it's so frustrating. Actually, that would have done a ton of damage to my own Chameleon, so that's probably fine at the end of the day. But the Solar Engine providing some nice hits. Got a really nice hit on the Handmaiden there. And providing that blind debuff is very strong here. Because, of course, Mazdamundi doesn't have the best attack and defense stats right now. But if that blind hits one of the elves just like that, then obviously their stats get significantly lowered. And it's not so big of a deal for Mazdamundi. Mazdamundi down to only 454 HP at this point. Still just tanking damage like an absolute monster. And, yeah, I would say that Mazdamundi is probably one of the best tanks in the game because he has such a huge HP pool. He's has self-healing, he has missile resistance, and I know I talk about the infantry archetype tank lords a lot. Enfeebling Foe here with the Nobles probably going to be able to finish him off. Let's have a look if Mazdamundi, yep, Mazdamundi does unfortunately fall there. And did he just fall underneath Slock and then like disappear before Slock fell on top of him? That's pretty funny. But as it stands, it's not going to be enough to save the High Elves, unfortunately. They have managed to finish off Mazdamundi, but, I mean, there's still so many Kroxigors left here. 1 unit, 2 units of Kroxigors, basically completely healthy, along with the Solar Engine, plus this 2 Skink Bros, of course. Since they're only 300 points, 350 points, it's not like you really want to allocate resources to take them out, especially as the High Elves, where you really don't have the resources to allocate. But in a situation like this, suddenly they come back to bite you, consistently providing that poison, little missile poke there, picking off a model here and there, and of course that leadership effect in the late game is very, very key. So, well played to Reptile King and everyone else who participated today. I had a ton of fun playing through with the different Slaan and kind of practicing some Skink Slaan builds. You'll notice there was pretty much no Saurus units in any of those replays today. In fact, no Saurus or Temple Guard whatsoever. So, yeah. A lot of these builds, too, are relatively vanilla. I know I did use quite a few. I think I used Red Crests in pretty much all of them, but you could always just swap those Red Crests out for, like, more Chameleons, maybe a Saurus or two. You know, you can do kind of some different things there, maybe bring, like, some Kroxigors and stuff, but a lot of these builds have been almost entirely vanilla. So, I guess aside from that Heaven Slaan build. So keep that in mind for those of you guys who don't have the DLCs or for whatever reason don't want to pick them up. These Slaan builds are very much non-DLC for the most part, completely viable. So yeah, very fun stuff. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching this replay. Be sure to try out the Slaan. Honestly, probably the best generic Lordcaster in the game in my opinion, purely because of that Greater Arcane Conduit. Just gives you such a massive reserve of magic. Plus, they are on an awesome roster, one of the coolest rosters in the game in many people's opinion, and I would have to agree with them. Yeah, so hopefully you like that. If you do like the sort of content you want to see more, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thank you once again for watching, and we'll see you next time.